song, do you? Age and judicial philosophy matter, ideology matters. We were talking about all these different things that you want to create a more diverse Supreme Court, but you also want to get votes. You want people who think like you, and you want people who are going to be on the court for a long time. Okay? And we mentioned age, and there's a really cute old guy who's probably dead now. I'm just kidding, all right? Now, once a president finds somebody, he settles on somebody to appoint to the Supreme Court or a federal judge role, then it has to go to the Senate because, remember, Senate must confirm these, okay? And before it ever goes to the entire Senate, the Senate won't even hear it until the Judiciary Committee makes a recommendation, okay? And the Judiciary Committee, this is the Judiciary Committee gathering together to question Sonia Sotomayor, okay? She was Obama's first appointee, and the Judiciary Committee, their staff members, the media, people are all there to hear what Sonia Sotomayor had to say. And these members of the Senate Judiciary Committee asked questions to the nominee, like, how would you rule in this particular case? Or what did you think of this particular decision? All right? They want to quiz them and see if they're fit to recommend that they go before the entire Senate. That's the Judiciary Committee's main function. Grilling the people who are going to serve on federal courts as judges. All right? It's a pretty important job. Ooh. Now, when you're in front of the committee, you got two options, really. All right? When they ask you controversial questions, which they will, do you answer them honestly, or do you try to dance around the issue?
Dance around the issue.
Why?
Because you don't want to say like the wrong thing.
Yeah, you don't want to say the wrong thing or an offensive thing, because many members of the Judiciary Committee, many senators have what's called a litmus test.
Well, not only that, but you got like 1,000 cameras standing in front of you too.
We'll hang on to that thought, and we'll tell you why. Here's what we mean by a litmus test. And I'm sorry for going out of order on the outline. I'll get back to filibustering in a second. Okay? A litmus test. In chemistry, you guys know what a litmus test is? It's where you take a piece of paper, a special piece of paper, and you dip it in a solution to determine if it's more acidic or more basic. You test its pH level, and it'll turn either red or blue based on whether it's acidic or basic, or it stays the same color if it's neutral. Now, in this case, certain, like let's use, for example, the latest one, Amy Coney Barrett. She was a Republican nominee, a conservative judge. Democrats, when they ask her questions, okay, one of the litmus test questions for Democrats, they're going to ask about Roe versus Wade, the case about abortion that said that women have the right to choose to have an abortion. Okay? Now, first of all, when a Democratic senator asks a conservative judge that question, do they already know the answer that they're going to get?
Yeah.
Probably so. Okay? And what they're looking for, deep down, is a reason to vote no on this candidate. Okay? That's what they're looking for. Right? They want a reason to vote no. They're like, this is ridiculous. I can't stand this person. They want a reason to vote no. For them, that's the litmus test. That's the determinant for them about how they're going to vote when this person comes before the entire Senate. A litmus test question. Now, a lot of times it's abortion. It could be a case about guns. Could be anything controversial. Now, here's the weird thing about this. Judges who went before the Senate Judiciary Committee, it used to be that when they got questioned, unless something was really wrong with them and their character, it didn't matter what their judiciary views were as long as they could substantiate a reason why, okay? But all of a sudden that changed. People get a little more tense about these things, and we'll tell you why that changes here in a minute. In the past, what sometimes the minority party would threaten to do, they would threaten that, hey, if this person's a little too controversial, they might threaten to filibuster. They're like, hey, we'll filibuster in the Senate so that person could never come to a vote. Right? That's a real jerk thing to do.
Wait, what's filibustering?
We can't go over that again right now. I'll explain later. All right? Filibuster,
You just said it.
it's something we've mentioned many times.
Oh, okay.
But had you been here?
Oh.
All right? So filibustering, preventing that from ever coming to a vote. Okay? And the thing is that now, though, they've changed Senate rules in the last few years. They don't allow filibusters on judicial nominees. You can't try to stall. All right? Judges ultimately cannot be filibustered. The nomination of judges can't be filibustered anymore. And one of the reasons why is that, look, remember, it's not just Supreme Court justices that presidents nominate. It's federal district court judges and circuit court of appeals judges, which means we need a lot of judges across the country. And you can't just get mad and slow up the whole process because we need these people to do the job and keep the courts moving. Okay? The confirmation process has changed over time, and let me show you something here with the evolution of the process. All right? If you go back to earlier times here, you can see that a lot of judges, a lot of justices get voted pretty easily. Like Harry Blackmun, this is back in 1970, 94-0, 89-1. Rehnquist, a little bit of a controversy. John Paul Stevens, 98-0, 99-0. Right? These are overwhelming confirmations. Clarence Thomas, who's the oldest judge on the court right now, the only reason his was so close is because he was accused of sexual harassment by his secretary from his previous job. Okay?
Was it true?
What is it?
Was it true?
Hard to say. Depends on who you believe. But he did admit later on that perhaps he told some jokes that could have been construed as offensive.
So
Probably somewhat true. There's at least some element of truth to it. All right? But you see that a lot of these people got confirmed pretty quickly. Now, in George W. Bush's presidency, since then, the confirmation process has changed. Roberts, 78-22 vote. Okay? Samuel Alito, 58-42. Sonia Sotomayor, 68-31. These are Obama's appointees now. And then look at Trump's 3 appointees. Look how close these margins are. What's happened to these confirmation votes over time? What is it? It's harder. It's getting harder to make sure they get confirmed. Look at the margins. You went from look here, Antonin Scalia, and I know you guys don't necessarily know him, he's one of the most conservative justices in Supreme Court in the 20th century. And he got confirmed 98-0. Yes?
Didn't Amy Coney Barrett learn under him?
Yes, she was one of his law clerks. Okay? Anthony Kennedy, 97-0. Clarence Thomas, he was on Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's one of the more liberal justices. She just died this past year. She got confirmed 96-3. There was no objection, really. All right? But now, all of a sudden, you get narrower and narrower margins. What does that tell you about the process? What is it? It is getting more difficult, but why?
It's getting more political.
All right. It's getting more political. And who do you think, for example, Sonia Sotomayor got confirmed by 68-31? She's a Democratic nominee. Out of those 31 no votes, who do you think most of those no votes were? Republicans. Okay? In fact, you look at any of these recent nominees, you're going to see that they're largely along party lines. Let's take a look at Amy Coney Barrett. That's the committee vote. All right. So you go ahead and look at this, and you're going to see, Republicans are voting yes. Democrats are voting no. How about that? Shelley Moore Capito, West Virginia, Republican, voted yes. Look at that. Almost exclusively on party lines.
How does it say
Yay.
yeah?
Yay. That's the word they use. Yeah, I know. I didn't write it. I didn't spell it. All right. These people are the ones, Joe Manchin votes no. Okay, stuck with his party on that one. All right. Ultimately, though, these people are going largely along party lines. Todd Young from, Indiana rounding out the end here, and he's a Republican voting yes. That's simply the way they fall. But if you go back and look at any of these, that's what you're going to see. And here's the thing about it. Neil Gorsuch, especially, he's a really qualified guy. He's conservative, but that's one of the perks of being president. One of the things I think these three people, Gorsuch and Barrett, it wasn't so much that they were bad people, it's just who nominated them. Trump. And what did a lot of people want to do? Impeach him or just do anything to screw him over. And so it's not necessarily that Amy Coney Barrett or Neil Gorsuch are bad people or bad judges, but they didn't want them on board. What was the problem with Kavanaugh? The allegations of sexual assault. Okay? If you look at Sotomayor and Elena Kagan, most of those people were just the hardcore conservatives. Same thing with Alito. It was liberals who didn't want him on the court. The process has become more politicized, more partisan, right? That's an issue. How do you change that? Can you change that?